In this help video, I'd like to look at avoiding some of the pitfalls, particularly when you're trading the USE minis, which is the ES, YM, NQ and TF, the Russell Index, and also you're following some other markets as well. Just want to show you how I set it up here, so it just makes it a little bit easier. First and foremost, for the USE minis, we tend to use what we call the day session chart. In other words, this plots data from 9:30 New York time to 16:15 New York time. We do this because this is when the highest volume is, and it's when the US stock market is open. It's the way that most people tend to day trade the USE minis. So to help you on this, in NinjaTrader, if we right mouse click on this on a chart, we go to templates. You can see at the bottom there's templates, and if I click load, we've set up 4 MTPredictor templates, some candlestick charts and some open, high, low, close bar charts. But you can see we have 2 templates here. The first is the 24-hour session, the other one is what we call the day session. So if I select the day session, do OK, it will then just load the data for the just reset the scale on this, for what we call the CME regular trading hours. In other words, from 9:30 to 16:15. What does that look like for the data in NinjaTrader? Well, again, if I right mouse click, I come down to data series. Can you see here on the session template is actually set CME US Index Futures RTH. In other words, the index futures for the CME for regular trading hours, or RTH, which is the 9:15 to 16:15. So our MTP day session template just sets that NinjaTrader template. So what I tend to do is I tend to have 2 charts open at least. I have one chart where I have my ES minis, and then I have another chart where I have 24-hour charts. For example, here I've got the DAX, but it could be, say, crude oil or gold or anything else you're trading. Now for this, I right mouse click, I come down to templates, I load, but in this case I load the 24-hour template, the MTP 24-hour. Can you see that? 24-hour. Do OK, and that then loads the chart. As before, if I go to data series in NinjaTrader, you can see it's used the session plate default 24/7. So in other words, we have 2 charts with 2 session templates. Now I tend to keep these completely separate, so I have them both open at the same time. So effectively, whoops, we have 2 charts open, one of which I have my ESE minis set for the day session, the other with all my other markets set for 24-hour session. If you get a bit more experience, you can then obviously do other templates for some of the other markets and set up some new MTP templates as well. But I want to just keep it easy for you new guys. Now the trick here is to make sure that you only ever look at your ES or your ES, NQ, YM and Russell Index in your day session only chart. So in other words, you only have your USE minis on your day session only chart, and then you have all your other markets in your 24-hour session chart. So make sure you keep these separate. The same goes for the market analyzers. So if I go to File, New, let's set up 2 market analyzers. The reason we do this, again, is because of our session times. So if you open a new market analyzer, and if I right mouse click and I come down to properties, you can see that it actually says use instrument settings. This probably isn't the best way to do it. Again, you want to keep 2 market analyzers with your different session times. So the way we do this in MTPredictor, to make it a bit easy, is if I right mouse click, come down to templates, remember you're over a market analyzer, and if I do load, we have 2 templates. We have a day session and a 24-hour session. So if I click on day session, do OK, we actually have 3, 5 and 15-minute columns set up there already. But if I right mouse click and then come down to properties, can you see how the session template for this market analyzer is being set to the CME Index Futures RTH? So in other words, you know that the instruments you have in this particular market analyzer is for your regular trading hours or your day session. So now you can start to put in your USE minis. So this is what I'd do here. just, where's the NQ, and then if you want to, the Russell Index. Oops, I need to add instrument. Russell Index TF, TF, there she is. So in other words, I'd have my market analyzer with my 4 USE minis. I'll then set up a new market analyzer. So I'd go to File, New, Market Analyzer. Now this one I'd set up for 24-hour charts. So on my data series, it would be set to 24 hours. Or if you wanted to, you could do template, load, and then you could do 24-hour session. And that adds a 3, 5, and 15 minute. But you can easily change these as shown in a different video. But the point being is that if I now look at the properties of this market analyzer, you can see it's set to 24/7. So in other words, it's 24/7. It's also important that we have at least 200 bars look back, because if you set up a new market analyzer, it will only have 50 here, and we want 200. That's why it's good to start with an MTPredictor template, because then that keeps keeps things okay for you. So let's now add an instrument. Let's say, for example, in this one here, we want to follow our say crude oil. And here we want to, I don't know, follow gold as well. Where's gold? Gold. And also, say for example, I maybe want to follow the DAX in here. Where's the DAX? FDAX. There you go. So in other words, the excuse me, the markets in this particular market analyzer have under properties the 24/7 chart. Remember, you have to have at least 200 bars look back. So in other words, we want to make sure we keep things completely separate. So how does this look then if you've got things on your charts or your layouts? Let's have a little look. So in other words, what we'd have is we'd have 2 separate market analyzers, but they're also going to be, if you have a setup in one of these market analyzers, make sure you look at that setup on the correct chart. So in other words, if you've set this up correctly with your 24-hour day session, or your 24-hour data session, then if you have a setup here, make sure you look at it in this particular chart, which again has your 24-hour session. And also then if you have a setup in this particular market analyzer, which is your day session only, your CME regular trading hours session, make sure you look at it in the chart where you have the regular session set up as well. So as long as you're logical and you just take your time on setting this up, you can avoid the pitfalls. Because if you imagine you have one market analyzer set up on 24 hours and then you view that chart on, say, the day session, well, obviously the setups will be different. So it's just all about being logical in your setup. So obviously if you're trading Forex, well then that makes it a lot easier, because Forex is 24/7 anyway. So it's just one market analyzer with your Forex charts, one chart with your Forex charts as well, so it just makes it easier. But I just wanted to do this help video just to show you, if you are following the USE minis, just to keep them separate from your other charts. So make sure you have one chart with your MTPredictor day session, which is the CME regular trading hours session time set up on it. Combine that with a market analyzer that has the same day session as well, and then have something completely separate for a 24-hour chart and a 24 market analyzer. One other last tip I'd give is don't try and link charts from market analyzers to charts in NinjaTrader. The chart linking doesn't work very well in NinjaTrader. It's better just to keep things completely separate. So if you're following a market analyzer here, and say for example you get a setup in, say, I don't know, the 5-minute NQ, go to your chart and then come down and then change the data to your 5-minute NQ. So just make sure that you don't use linking between the market analyzer and the charts, because that doesn't in NinjaTrader that doesn't tend to work that well. Okay, so hopefully this has been a helpful video, just showing you the best way to set up your market analyzers and your charts when you're following the USE minis as well as other markets. The tip is making sure you keep the two things completely separate. If you're logical and sort of follow what I've said, you should be okay.